Welcome to the Stoic Thunder podcast, taking an ancient philosophy for a 21st century test drive. Learning on the way. As of the 28th of May, 2021, I have been alive for 14,078 days. If I live to be 85 years old, then I have 16,801 left, so almost halfway there. In Stoicism, there is a concept known as Memento Mori. I've read different translations, but remember you are mortal seems the most apt to me. Whilst the idea behind this is not strictly Stoic, it served as a cornerstone to the philosophy and remains one of its most grounding elements. Coupling this absolute truth with a token or other physical symbol is a centering exercise, at least as I've come to use it in my Stoic practices. Contemplating death, at least for people around me, seems to be a topic of fear, apprehension, and sadness. A lot of the time, people are dealing with some form of loss in the present, so to ask them to contemplate the end, which may not come for many years, might at first appear to be a cruel exercise. They might not even really consider their own demise, but be wary and fearful of losing those whom they love. No matter how you slice it, those who wish to live long lives might not want to envision its end. Yet it is the one inevitable certainty that binds together all living things. So add this sobering notion together with coins with skulls on them, and you have the makings of a pretty decent metal album cover. The idea behind it, as I've come to understand, is not to alarm or pressure you into appreciating every single moment, goddammit, but as a marker for at least attempting to live well. By following the 4 Stoic virtues of temperance, wisdom, courage, and justice in our everyday lives, and making us accountable to those principles at the end of every day lived, so that when the next one comes, it's like a stone being added to a lifelong structure, not something that is being taken away or eroding. I have to say I've not always lived each day to its fullest. And let me say that I don't mean grand achievements or working so hard that I forego or neglect what is expected of me. And certainly since following Stoicism and applying it, I wouldn't call myself the poster girl for applying this important principle. There's a part of me that finds the passage of time, especially daily increments, kind of unfathomable, even when I can clearly see the amount of time that has already been utilised. Now illness, family time, work, and other factors must be considered, but I know I can do more. Not in volume or to another measurable scale, but I can achieve that feeling of fulfillment, content that I've spent the day doing what I had intended, no matter the task, and achieved through concentration and dedication. Self-discipline can be a hard thing to muster in oneself. I've read so much about habit forming, procrastination, and all sorts of different techniques to harness your potential for whatever task you feel you need to perform. The one absolute answer to me, if there is such a thing, is action. I can read every study about the nature of discipline, on a neurological level or a philosophical one. And movement, momentum is the fuel, at least as I have found it, that drives creation. This might seem obvious, but we spend so much time berating ourselves for our inaction that we can forget or ignore the simplicity of the solution. To me, there's not many things more regretful than unfulfilled potential. Again, this doesn't have to be about large-scale projects, life-altering or life-defining endeavours, and I think for the longest time I saw menial tasks and mammoth undertakings as 2 completely separate things. They may be different in scope, but breaking down the steps and moving towards a specific goal is the same to me no matter the task. Whatever your feelings or thoughts about the outcome, or whether you are setting yourself a time frame, to go from stagnation to hopefully completion requires inertia. I genuinely feel on days where I set out to complete certain things, and with the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control, and I manage to tick those tasks off, I am more satisfied and I achieve that sense of fulfilling the day's potential. Again, no matter how small the task is. The funny thing is that I feel more physiologically uncomfortable and heavier knowing I'm putting something off than I do when I'm working towards even the most strenuous of jobs. As I've gotten older, I've realised that completing what you set out to do, ticking something off and patting yourself on the back are a great way to build habits and stave off procrastination. But it's the letting go of the beration, that internal voice that reminds you that you aren't focused, you have stuff to do, whilst all the while making the whole situation seem uncomfortable or the job too vast, so you remain in a perpetual loop of inaction. It's realising the process of those thoughts, degrading and stagnant, and the likely outcome when you follow them through to their non-fruition, that they are just that, thoughts. The complex nature of ideas and creativity are an amazing aspect of the human psyche. But I think to drive motivation, it has to be somewhat solely physically led, a reverse of mind over matter, if you will. The mind can hinder the matter, so deal with that first and you'll have the results staring back at you. Doing a dozen things haphazardly and doing fewer things with dedication, especially if they are of personal importance, are two sides of the same coin, depending on what you can control in whatever life has to throw at you. You don't have to be lucky. One side can be the one that faces you at the end of the day. You can affect the landscape of where it falls and how it lies. This can help you create a richer and more fulfilling life, if that's what you desire. So that if the end should come sooner than you think, you've included and cultivated a purposeful drive, which to me is an unbelievably important thread in the fabric of living. Or like Seneca said, let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time.